was able to pull on a pair of boots for the first time since the operation. It was an important and morale-boosting moment. With the eyes of the world upon him, it was obvious the anguish and anxiety of this frustrating recovery period was disappearing. Knowing that a return to the game he loved was imminent, the boyish grin was back. Back in Europe, a few weeks later, there was good news from his surgeon. It was time to rejoin his teammates at Inter Milan. More training and practice matches were needed to rediscover that magic touch, but within a month, the world's best player was ready to make his long-awaited return to football. In the days leading up to his scheduled comeback, there was more good news when his wife Malena gave birth to a son. For Ronaldo, the dark clouds had lifted and the sun was shining again. After nearly 5 months out of action, Ronaldo jogged onto the pitch as a substitute in the Italian Cup final against Lazio. The months of painstaking and frustrating rehabilitation was suddenly a distant memory. 6 minutes later, he launched one of his trademark weaving runs on goal, and then he fell to the ground, clutching his right knee, screaming in agony. Nobody could believe the tragic moment they just witnessed. When Ronaldo's knee collapsed, it was more than a blow for his club Inter Milan and his country, Brazil. The whole world felt his pain. The next day, he flew to Paris for an examination by the same specialist who'd operated on his knee the previous November. Shielded by security guards, he hobbled into the Salpêtrière hospital through a crowd of waiting reporters. The diagnosis wasn't good. In fact, it was horrific. He'd torn the tendon in his right knee and would be away from the game for at least several months. As word spread of the latest and perhaps saddest chapter in Ronaldo's young career, some began to question whether the two-time Player of the Year would ever return to football. The career of the heir apparent to the legendary Pelé was at a crossroads. 10 days after surgery, a dejected Ronaldo faced the world's press.
I feel disillusioned after 5 long, hard months of work. All the desire I had of returning to the field, all the hard training, everything has been thrown away after just 5 minutes of a match. And no one can understand the reason for my injury.
Nessuno può capire il motivo di questo infortunio.
From the darkest period of his career to the greatest, Ronaldo's inspirational story continues after the break on Immortals. Suffering his career-threatening injury, a period of rest was followed by a strenuous training schedule involving 3 hours of physical therapy in the gym, followed by an hour of on-pitch training and 2 hours exercising in the pool. The long, painful road to recovery only heightened talk of a premature retirement. There was speculation that even if he did come back, he would never be the player of old. 12 months would pass before Ronaldo commenced light training with Inter Milan. Naturally, after missing a whole season, he was rusty, but competitive practice matches gave him the chance to fine-tune the skills that had elevated him to legendary status. But it was another 5 months before the star striker finally reappeared in an Inter Milan shirt. After playing just 6 minutes of football in 18 months, he came on as a substitute in September of 2001 and played the last 30 minutes of Inter's UEFA Cup tie against the Romanian team Brasov. The 26-year-old's competitive juices were flowing again. In March of 2002, he played his first international for Brazil in 2.5 years. With the World Cup just a few months away, the sight of Ronaldo in a Brazilian shirt was exactly what the fans wanted to see. Injury-free, he was ready to strike back. After Brazilian coach Felipe Scolari announced that Ronaldo was in their 2002 World Cup squad, the countdown that the entire football population of the world had been waiting for commenced. After 5 different operations on his right knee and more than 4 years of pain, sweat and tears, the superstar was ready to exorcise the demons of France '98. For most of the time since France '98, Ronaldo had played the part of the tragic hero. But after almost 4 years in the wilderness, the stage was set for him to take the final step out of the darkness. After beating England in the quarter-finals and Turkey in the semis, the 4-time world champions were looking good, especially with Ronaldo in brilliant form. In the 2002 World Cup final against Germany, the moment of truth had arrived for Ronaldo and his battle-scarred knee. In the first half, the striker's predatory instincts were prevalent, but he squandered 3 gilt-edged chances. However, after the break, Ronaldo's radar was on target and he struck twice in the space of 12 minutes to secure yet another world crown for his country in Yokohama. The born-again striker played a significant role as Brazil won football's ultimate prize for the 5th time and cemented their status as the most successful team in the history of the competition. On a personal level, it was a story of retribution, as Ronaldo's match-winning performance finally laid to rest the ghosts of France '98. And with 8 goals for the tournament, winning the Golden Boot award confirmed his reputation as the world's best striker. While Ronaldo and the rest of the Brazilian team enjoyed a well-earned rest, rumours that the Golden Boot winner would be joining Spanish giants Real Madrid began to circulate. At the beginning of August, a week before he was due back in Italy, it was reported that Ronaldo's agent had approached Real Madrid. The Italian media ran with the story, and when he returned, there was an angry mob waiting to greet him at the airport. To avoid the waiting Inter Milan fans and what could have been an ugly scene, he was whisked away by security. Soon after, the silence was broken, and Ronaldo announced that he wanted to leave Inter Milan and return to Spain. With Ronaldo having stated his intention, Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez, then met with Inter Milan to discuss a possible transfer deal. However, talks broke down after Real called off the bid because of differences over the value of the player. But with the transfer deadline looming, the 2 clubs restarted negotiations and eventually agreed to a deal which saw the Brazilian striker sign for Real Madrid in a complex transfer worth €47 million. Inter Milan fans were outraged. After everything the club had done for him, they regarded his departure as an act of betrayal. It was a totally different scene in Spain, where Real Madrid's latest star signing was given a warm welcome. Real Madrid fans could hardly wait for Ronaldo to take his place in the team of stars that included Luis Figo and Zinedine Zidane, both winners of the World Player of the Year title. But a minor ankle injury delayed Real's latest star recruit from playing until a month later. In October, Ronaldo eventually made his debut for Real Madrid at the Bernabeu against Alaves. More than 75,000 Real fans roared with approval as the Brazilian came on as a substitute 64 minutes into the game. Less than a minute later, they were cheering again when the Brazilian scored the first goal for his new club. The year 2002 was a remarkable one for Ronaldo. Returning from career-threatening injuries, he overcame personal, physical and psychological drama to complete a clean sweep of the end-of-year awards. Not only did the Brazilian striker win the Golden Ball award for the European Footballer of the Year, he was also named FIFA's World Player of the Year for the 3rd time. In his first season with Real Madrid, Ronaldo finished as the Primera Liga's equal leading scorer with 23 goals. 2 of those goals